welcome in to the 20th edition of Texas Longhorns here live. I am your host, Matthew Miller. Can you please like and subscribe down below? I'm here every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, breaking down the previous week's game and also talking about the upcoming matchup for my Texas Longhorns. Also, do us a favor and use the Amazon link in the description. It is free, does not cost you any money. It puts a little money in Mark's pocket, but it does not change your buying or shopping experience whatsoever. It's down in the description. Please use that as well. And if you would just like to hear my voice and not look at my face, which I know some people may like that, go over to your favorite audio platform, Spotify, Apple. There's like an Indonesian app that we have over there too. So any of my foreign listeners, please go take a look at that. You can listen to this beautiful, beautiful podcast and not look at my face. I highly recommend it. I would love to do that instead. But here you go, guys. Let's jump into it. Texas puts a beat down on Michigan, 31-20. It was a hell of a performance overall by Texas. I don't think it was their A-plus overall performance. But for the first time going into the big house, for the first time in the regular season facing Michigan, I thought the boys played very, very well overall. We are going to talk about my key takeaways from this game, run down a couple stats for you. Then we're going to get into recruiting as well, because Texas didn't win just on the field, but they won in recruiting as well. So please, again, hit that like button, subscribe. We have content. We usually have a video 3 or 4 days of the week. And I'm going to be hosting the SEC show on the SEC channel. So go over there and subscribe to that as well. But let's get into this game. Texas 31-12 was not that close. If Texas wanted to, guys, Texas could have put up, in my opinion, 45 plus points. I don't think they would have put up anything more than that, honestly. I think Michigan eventually would, their pride wouldn't have allowed that. But if we went full bore in this game, 45-6 should have been the final score. We dominated it for the most part from jump, honestly. Other than a very ticky-tack holding call on the first drive, Texas came out, manhandled Michigan at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. The speed was too much. The play calling was way better on our side than it was on their side. And let's go into this. Quinn Ewers, 246 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 24 of 36. And guys, I said at the beginning of the season, if Quinn Ewers was to take the next jump, this Texas team was going to take another jump. Is the talent the same as it was last year? Is it that upper echelon talent, that A-plus talent that was lost to the NFL? No, but the depth is there. What we had last year were A-plus guys at certain positions, then it fell off to C guys. That's basically what it fell off to. Now, I think we just have a bunch of B guys all across the board with an A quarterback. And in my opinion, that is a better recipe to win a national championship. If this Quinn Ewers of this year went back and played on that Texas team, I believe that Texas team has a real shot at winning the national championship. I can't say they would have, because that was a very, very good Michigan team. But could they have competed better than Washington? No doubt in my mind they would have. What I needed to see from Quinn this year was better footwork, better pocket presence, and better passing the ball down the field deep. Overall, 2 out of 3, he has hit that. You saw him constantly moving side to side in the pocket, navigating it that way. You saw him moving north to south in the pocket that way as well. And he was able to keep his eyes downfield, find the open guy in his third, sometimes fourth progression, and get it to him. It was a masterful job. You could tell this guy has been in this offense for 3 years. He had confidence. He executed at a high level. He did not make mistakes. Guys, my favorite parts of this game were when that was not there, dirt it, or you saw there was a couple miscommunications with the running backs. He just kneed. He said, the play's over, I'm done. You see that at the highest level in the NFL. I'm a gigantic Peyton Manning fan. People always used to make fun of him. The play wasn't there. The guy would literally just lay on the ground, because that's what you're supposed to do, live to play another down. And I thought Quinn Ewers did that at a very, very high level for Texas. It's a level, in my opinion, he's going to have to keep up if they want to win a national championship. Not compete. He can take a step back and they can compete. But if they want to win a national championship, he's going to have to play at that level. So overall, very good. Now to the running backs. Jarrett Gibson, Trey Wisner, Jaden Blue, 3.6 yards per carry for Jarrett Gibson. Trey Wisner had a little bit, or 3.8 yards per carry, and then Jaden Blue had 2.4 yards per carry. I thought Jaden Blue was way more effective in the passing game, and you saw that he caught a touchdown out of the backfield catching. He also had more yardage there as well. Jarrett Gibson, in my opinion, I said this after week 1, I think he has the most juice in the running back room. I'm not saying he's the best running back overall. I'm saying he has the most juice in the running back room. And what I mean by that is he sees the hole very quickly, he hits it very hard, and he's hard to get down when he gets through the hole. So I think his carry should go up. I think honestly, there's a debate. All 3 of these guys have impressed me. Jaden Blue's better out of the backfield catching. Trey Wisner's second in that area. But I think just pure running back and running back talent, I think Jarrett Gibson is probably the guy to go to. If I needed 1 carry to get me 1 yard, I'm probably going to hand it off to Jarrett Gibson, which says a lot about that young guy. And he's worked his ass off. Congratulations to him. And it really helps us with all the stuff we've been missing in the running back room with Cedric Baxter and Christian Clark going down, and then Jonathan Brooks moving on to the NFL. So really good game for him. I was impressed. I want to see more of him, and we'll get into that later too with some of the freshmen I would like to see more of. Receiving, Gunnar Helms, 7 for 98 and a touchdown. Isaiah Bond, 3 for 51. And then Matthew Golden, Mr. Consistent, 6 receptions, 41 yards and a touchdown. Guys, I have nailed what I thought was going to happen with Texas this year. I have absolutely nailed it. At the season, when we can digest this, I may just put out a video. I'll cut it up and show you where I was right, because I said after SEC Media Days, Mark asked me on the main channel, who are the 2 guys you expect to take a big jump, or who are some guys you expect to take a big jump? I gave 1 on offense and I gave 1 on defense. I said Gunnar Helm would take the jump. I was wrong on Gunnar Helm last year. Gunnar Helm going to the season last year, I don't know. I thought maybe 6th or 7th round pick. And then I watched him play, and Jatavian Sanders absent. I said, this guy's very good. He's very smart. He knows where to sit down in the zone. He's more athletic than you think. He's hard to take down. He has really good and reliable hands. And he's played great for the first 2 games of the season. And honestly, guys, I think there's a real shot he gets drafted higher than Jatavian Sanders. Jatavian Sanders fell to the 4th round, and he probably should have been up a little bit higher. I think Gunnar Helm could be a 3rd-round pick or get drafted in the 4th round a little bit ahead of Jatavian Sanders. I've been wildly impressed. That's why I said he'd be my breakout player on offense, and he's trending towards that way. Wildly, wildly impressed. He's really hard to take down. You saw Michigan have serious issues taking down Gunnar Helm when the first guy got there. It took multiple guys to take him down. Thoroughly impressed. Isaiah Bond was just typical of himself. Made big plays, made big catches, showed off his speed in certain instances. Honestly, the double move that we converted on 3rd and 11 to open up that first drive of the game, that wasn't even a great route by him. He did not sell the double move very well, but with his speed, he was still able to get open. So his route running definitely needs to get a little bit better. But then the guy that I'm in love with, the guy I told people, and I saw Orange Bloods do this, I saw Inside Texas do this, I saw On Texas do this. I told you, I was the only one saying Matthew Golden, Matthew Golden, Matthew Golden. I had him as the number 2 wide receiver the whole time. I said he'd finish on number 2 in snaps because he is Mr. Reliable. He's a good blocker. He's a good pass catcher. He knows where to sit down in the zone. He has enough speed to keep you honest, and he's a good route runner. He is the quintessential B-plus wide receiver. There's nothing too flash about him. He's not going to kill you in any one aspect, but he's just damn good and damn good reliable. And I love the guy. I do. I've had a man crush on him since I watched him at Houston. I was thoroughly impressed. When he jumped in the portal, I wanted them to make him a priority, and they did. And it's turned out wonderfully because guess what, guys? Juice Wells, I don't think is producing as well at Ole Miss. CJ Daniels, I don't think has done much at all at LSU. And then Deion Burks has been pretty good for Oklahoma, but they put Matthew Golden a priority over those guys, and they should have, and he's nailed it. I freaking love Matthew Golden. I think he's going to be an NFL guy after this season. If not, he will be after the next season. I would love to keep him around for 2 seasons with the wide receiver rooms we have next year with Arch. I would love it. But I think this guy's going to make too much money this year. I think he's probably a 3rd-round pick, and I think he's going to have a long, successful career in the NFL. I really believe that. I love this guy. He's my favorite wide receiver on the team. I don't know why people wrote him off when talking wide receivers, but everything you heard out of camp plus the tape told me he was going to be big for this Texas offense, and he's been big for this Texas offense. Next up, let's go to the offensive line. Might be the best game Jake Majors has ever had as a Texas Longhorn. I was thoroughly impressed. He was able to move guys, not even in double teams. He was able to move Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham at times just by himself. Thoroughly impressed with him. I looked at the Pro Football Focus grade. Listen, guys, I think Pro Football Focus does a really good job with skill players, quarterbacks, cornerbacks, stuff like that. They do not understand the line of scrimmage. They do not understand the line of scrimmage. Jake Majors had a phenomenal game. He had like a 60-something grade. That's bullshit to me. I watched it with my eyes. I think I know more than most of those guys, honestly, what they're seeing and what they're grading. I thought he was phenomenal. Kelvin Banks just in general, the offensive line had a very good game. Cam Williams, I love what Steve Sarkisian did. Apparently, he gave him a hug after a couple procedural penalties, and he should have. I don't have an issue or that big of an issue with Cam Williams. I really don't. He had a somewhat rough game before the plays were actually called. When the plays were called, he played pretty well. I have no issues with how he played. Procedural penalties he'll have to work on, but it was his second start at Michigan. I'm not going to get that upset about it. I'm just not. Needs to clean it up. I thought the holding call was bullshit, honestly, so I'm not even really angry at that, but the false starts need to be better, and we need to stay out of 3rd and long. We converted them this week because how well Quinn played, and I do think we'll be able to do that more than normal and more than most teams because Quinn's very good, but we need to just make it easier on him and keep it at 3rd and 5 and under. There were a couple I would love to know. I think our 3rd down had to be 3rd and 6 plus average-wise, so we need to be better at that. That is another thing we need to be better at is staying on time and staying on down or staying in consistency with where we are play call wise to keep us in 3rd and manageable. Overall, Andrew Makuba, my God. Finally, we have a safety that's able to make athletic plays, able to break up passes in the passing game, able to make plays on the ball when it's there. Phenomenal game from him. If anyone wants to know why we got him, just put on that tape. He made like 4 or 5 great plays. There were a couple dekes where he did too, where it looks like he was going to sit down and then decided to break on the ball, and you saw that with great closing speed as well. Phenomenal game from him. I will say this. I want to see more Jarrett Gibson. I already kind of mentioned that. I want to see more Colin Simmons, and I want to see more Ryan Wingo. Whenever they step on the field, they flash. Colin Simmons had multiple flash plays. And guys, honestly, he doesn't even have a pass rush arsenal right now. If you watched him, the bend isn't as great as I thought it was going to be. And there's really no moves. He's just a freak athlete. Like, if they can get him to bend a little bit more, which I don't know if you can because I think that's a God-given thing, and then have a couple more moves in the arsenal, this guy's going to be a stud. But I'd like him out there more in real game scenarios. What I mean by that, when the game's not out of balance, like that game was over when he was in, but he flashed, and I want him to see him more. Ryan Wingo, I don't know how to describe it because when I watch it, him running away from Michigan defenders, it looked like a baby animal learning how to run for the first time. Long strides, fast, but not a burner. But it's just crazy to watch him run, and he needs more plays. I want to see more big plays with him in. And then Jarrett Gibson just needs 4 to 5 more touches a game and out of the backfield, whether that be in the pass catching scenario or running. Needs more touches there, but I think all of them should get about 10% more playing time. I'd like to see 5 to 7 more snaps for each of them. You don't have to, you can ease them in still. You don't have to throw them in at the fire. And I think the next 3 games, honestly, guys, are perfect games to ease them in. You have UTSA, who we'll get into. I don't think they're that good. You have Louisiana Monroe, who most people think is like one of the worst college football teams this year. So ease these guys more in. And then Mississippi State to kick off the SEC. Mississippi State's not that good. They might be the worst team in the SEC. So I would like to see these guys play a lot more or a little bit more each and every game. And then that gets you really ready going into the bye week to play Oklahoma, who honestly doesn't look great right now, but we know how that game is. No need to get into that. And then 2 miscommunications in the red zone. We're 11 of 11 so far in the red zone this year with 10 touchdowns out of the 11 opportunities. That can't happen. I don't know who the running backs were in on the 2 plays, but you have to have better communication there to make sure it's which way you're going. And I put some of that on Quinn. I think Quinn should go back there and just double check and make sure, hey, you got it? Okay, you got it. And I think Sark will tell him to do that as well. But the players just need to better overall, the running backs in that instance. And then I loved this. This will be the last point in the Michigan game. They stood up for their quarterback. Quinn Ewers took a knee. It was a late hit when I watched it live. When it was just slow motion, it was definitely a late hit. And they didn't take any shit for it. They immediately got up in the defensive lineman's face. They pushed him around. And I do not mind that penalty at all. In fact, if I'm Steve Sarkisian, I'm buying you something. Since it's legal now, I'm buying you something. I'm like, hey, what do you want, man? Because I love that. Guys, Jeff Howe tweeted this out. And I remembered it when he tweeted it out. When we played Arkansas in Sark's first year, we got killed in that game. We were getting killed. Hudson Card took a 100% late hit, and the offensive lineman did nothing. They didn't help him up. They didn't get in the face of the Arkansas defender. They did nothing. And I think I'd have to go back and watch, but I'm pretty sure I'm like, that is not a good sign. That is a bad culture if you're not protecting your quarterback. I freaking loved it. You saw them get up in the face of the Michigan defenders. They should have. That is the guy you have to protect. That is how you are going to make your livelihood at the next level. That's how you're making your livelihood now. If he's going to get hit late, hit them late. Period. And I freaking loved it. Loved it. The last thing I guess I will hit on this, I already did. 10 of 16 on third downs. I want more manageable third downs. That's really the last takeaway I take away from this game. Really good game overall. Not much to nitpick here. Sark also talked about in his press conference of a little special teams bust. And yes, our kicker did have to make 2 tackles. Yes, we got to clean that up. Are those hard things to correct? I don't think so. I think you're just going to see Will Stone booted out of the back of the end zone now. And he basically did that all of last year. I think there was only like 4 or 5 possible returns. So you'll see that now. But overall, mightily impressive win for Texas, beating Michigan in Ann Arbor for the first time ever, 31-12. And it was really 31-6. Let's be honest. That was a garbage time touchdown. I'm going to jump into your comments real quick, and then we'll get to a couple ads before we get into recruiting. Sports Talk with Austin. What's up, and congratulations on the win Saturday. Thank you, guys. And check out Austin and Jackson's show. It really helps out what they're trying to build over there as well. They do a good job. That's the best I've seen Ewers play, 100%. It was cool, calm, and collected. Did not make mistakes. Did not force anything. Took what the defense gave him. Kept his eyes downfield in the pocket instead of tucking and staring down at the ground. The most poise I'd ever seen him in the pocket, guys. And that is big. Big. Honestly, Carson, that's still something I want to see from Carson Beck. I saw Carson Beck struggle with that versus Alabama when they played in the SEC championship game. That's why I said if Quinn takes that next step, he's better than Carson Beck. Right now, he's better than Carson Beck. I will take Quinn Ewers over everybody in college football. Mark seemed to flip-flop on this because he made a video ranking Quinn Ewers the best quarterback in the country. And now, the last time I talked to him live and I heard him say it, it was Carson Beck, Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel's not the second best quarterback in the country. Dillon Gabriel has a Nerf arm as a shoulder to throw a football. He's not a good quarterback. He's been in college for this long, and he's going to break all these records because he's not draftable at the next level, period. He's the most overrated quarterback right now in college football. I think Quinn Ewers is the best quarterback in college football, and I have stats, and I have tape to back that up now. So I'm going to talk my shit. Let's go to the banners again. And again, guys, if you don't want to look at my face, but you want to listen to this podcast, go on your favorite audio platform, check it out and subscribe. Texas at the Voice of College Football, or the Voice of College Football at Texas. I don't know what it's worded like on there, but you will find it either way. Also, Mark has a fantastic show on Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time on the main channel. We also have call-in shows after the game Saturday and a call-in show the morning Sunday. Mark is putting out a lot of content. It really helps out if you like and subscribe to all the channels, and if you go over to support. Also, guys, go to Patreon, go to MarkRogersTV or Mark Rogers, the Voice of College Football. It will show up. They have a new thing, $99 a month, and you're like, whoa, that seems expensive. It's not, because guess what? If you bet $100 based off last year with Steve Dace's picks, Steve Merrill's picks, Matt Zemek's pick, and Mark Rogers' pick, and you put $100 on every game they told you to, you would be up $9,300. $9,300. That's a lot of money. So go over there. Check out Patreon as well. I really appreciate it, guys. Again, like and subscribe here as well. It helps out what we're trying to build. My goal, guys, this is a personal goal of mine. I would like 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It is steep, but here we shoot high and we shoot for the stars, just like this Texas program. So please, again, hit the like button and subscribe. This is the 20th edition of Texas Longhorns Here Live. I am your host, Matthew Miller. I am here every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, talking about the previous game and the game coming up this week. I will not be here on Saturday. It's the only game I will miss afterwards. I will not be here for the UTSA game. I have a wedding to attend, but that's the only game I'll miss all year. So please like and subscribe, and it really helps out, guys. I really appreciate it. Now, they didn't just get a big win in the big house. They got a big win off the field. Texas flips Myron Charles, which we went over a couple weeks ago. I said if there were one guy that I thought was going to flip, it'd be this guy. Myron Charles flips from Florida State to Texas. 4-star defensive lineman joins the Texas Longhorns. We still have the number 6 class. That did not change, but we have 20 commits in that class now. And guys, there was a lot of overreaction in the summer. A lot. Sonny posted a video on here saying that Texas should overreact to what's happening with defensive line recruiting. And I said, hey, pump your brakes. Kenny Baker has not been here that long. this staff does a really good job of maintaining and keeping relationships and getting guys to flip. We have seen it. That is why I trusted in it. I trust what I see with my eyes. I do not trust what people tell me. Steve Sarkisian has started to win on the field, which he said he was going to do. He's won on the recruiting trail the whole time he's been here, and he's flipped major recruits consistently. So when that guy tells me we're going to continue to win and we're going to flip big guys coming into the season, I believe him. And he's done it again. Myron Charles joins the class, and we might have the best defensive line class in the country now. You have Myron Charles and Josiah Sharma on the inside, both 4 stars. You have Smith Orogbo and Lance Jackson on the outside. Lance Jackson, by the end of the cycle, will be a 5-star recruit. Smith Orogbo might be. He's going to be an upper 4-star. This is a hell of a class, and I think it's going to get better because Javion Hilson just decommitted from Florida State as well, and all these guys that we're staying in on, guys, are a part of teams that their seasons could collapse, and that would really help out Texas. And the scholarship limit just got bumped up from 85 to 105. So we're talking about 20 more scholarships, and I think what I said to do was use it on the offensive and defensive line and stash those guys for a year or two. And then when the high-level guys like Lance Jackson leaves and goes to the NFL, you have these 3-star, lower 4-star recruits, and they're ready to play, and they're more prepared because they've had a year or two to sit. And Texas can do that because they also have the money to keep them around. This is turning into guys, if Steve Sarkisian is doing that and we pay those players properly, Texas can be in that tier with Georgia and Ohio State. They absolutely can be. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think there's still a little bit of a threshold to get to that point, but it's very, very close. And this class could do it if we hit the defensive line and offensive line. I think we need to flip one more offensive lineman. But overall, the defensive line, right now, if it ended, we'd still have a very good class. But we're one away from having probably the best defensive line class out of all of college football, or probably 1 or 2 flips on the offensive line to being able to say that as well. So that's crazy to say from a couple months ago. I know people are surprised about that. Some other guys that we will hear throughout the year that you're going to see, 4-star Zion Williams. This is a guy to me that has the highest upside of anyone we could flip. Currently, he is at LSU. He will take a visit to Texas. Everyone has said it's only a matter of time before he takes a visit to Texas. And guess what? Sark does a pretty damn good job once he gets these guys on campus of getting them to Texas. So that is the thing for me. If we get him to Texas, I think he flips. I think he goes to Texas from LSU if we get him on campus. Madden Faremo, kind of gone silent. I haven't heard much about him. It's kind of, like I said, the longer this goes, the longer I think it favors Texas. And now USC. USC is starting to win. They have pretty good NIL as well. They're starting to up their game there as well. And I think it's honestly going to be between USC and Texas now. I think with Notre Dame losing on the field, I don't think you're going to want to go there. I just don't. And I think the longer it goes that favors Texas and USC, it's going to be interesting. I honestly think whoever has the best year between the two on the field is who gets him. So we'd really love to have him. I think he's the perfect guy for this class. We have a lot of speedsters. This guy's more of a thumper, and I think he would help out a lot to get Madden Faremo into the fold. The next guy that I think if Javion Hilson doesn't come next, it'll be this guy, 5-star wide receiver Michael Terry. I think it's Texas, Nebraska with Oregon trending third. I don't know. I think it's probably 40-40-20. Percentage-wise, or even 45-45-10 with Texas, Nebraska, and then Oregon at third. It's going to be interesting, and I hope we get him, guys, because it would lock so many unique and different schemes. He's basically either going to be a big outside wide receiver, or he can be a tight end, or he can be an H-back. He can be so many things in this offense, along with Nick Townsend as well that's coming in this tight end class. Very impressive what Sark is building offense and defensively. And then a new guy that we kind of just started to get in on, Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. He was actually at the Texas versus Michigan game. Michigan's been heavily in on him, and he's going to visit Texas October 19th versus Georgia. That just makes it even a bigger game. You're going to have a lot of kids there, guys, and that is huge. If Texas is able to beat Georgia with all those kids watching, sky's the limit. The sky is the limit. This guy's a upper 4-star, lower 5-star, depending on where you look. He's already taken official visits to Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and USC. I have no clue where he could end up. Texas obviously is probably playing a little bit from behind here since they're a little bit late on him. But overall, Texas is hot on the trail right now, so it's very interesting. And then, guys, Dallas Wilson, wide receiver from Oregon, we're going to try to flip. Dalen McCutcheon from Florida State and Kelshawn Johnson from A&M. Two of those guys are at places I don't know how good they're going to be this year. Florida State could just completely fall apart. If Florida State loses to Memphis this week, you're going to see so many guys. They only have 13 right now. You're going to see more decommitments, and that could be one of them. And then Kelshawn Johnson from A&M. Why in the hell would you want to go play wide receiver there? They don't have a quarterback. Their offensive system isn't good for wide receivers. And they're not a good football team this year. They're probably at best going to be 9-3 at best. I'm being very kind about that. I think they're 7-5, 9-3. I predicted them to go 8-4 before the season. But Texas is definitely looking at a speedster because you already have Jamie French and Khalil Lockett. Jamie French is faster than Khalil Lockett, but he's not a speedster. These three guys are speedsters, and I think we're going to try to flip one of them. We'll probably see some wide receivers get some offers too, and I'm interested to see when that happens and who it is. But those three would be interesting, and we'll see if we can flip there. And then Joseph Mbachu from Florida. Listen, man, if this season turns out like the first game for Florida, I think you're going to see this guy decommit pretty quickly. Kenny Baker and Tashard Choice, the running back coach, are heavy on this recruitment. I think those are two, or Tashard Choice is a very good recruiter. We'll see what Kenny Baker's like. But Tashard Choice, man, he can convince you. And he can convince you with the best of them. It'll be interesting to see if we can flip Mbachu from Florida. He's a upper 3-star, low 4-star. And then Kevin Wynn from Florida State. Honestly, this is the guy I'm least confident in decommitting. He seems pretty steady to me. He seems like the type of kid that once he's in the fold, he's not going to leave. He's not going to run away from adversity. So it'd be kind of shocking to me if he flips to Texas. The only school I could see him flip to because it's in his home state is Georgia. But I think he's pretty solid with Florida State. Now that I say that, I'll probably decommit tonight and flip to Texas tomorrow, which I will not be angry about. But that's my read on Kevin Wynn. And then Chance Sims from A&M. I don't know. This is me guessing and getting into the mindset of a kid. He was looked over at Texas for a while. They finally started to pursue him. Will he be able to look at that and say, you know what? You didn't look at me hard enough early on. You passed me over for other guys. Why would I come there? If he can do that, I think there's a really good chance he comes to Texas. If he can't, he's not coming to Texas. And then Caleb Bell from Arkansas. Arkansas actually looks pretty good. I'm not going to lie. They should have won the game versus Oklahoma State. If they continue on that trend and they ended up, let's say if they end up 7-5, I could see Caleb Bell staying with Arkansas. That wouldn't shock me. Sam Pittman rising from the dead would shock me a little bit, but Bobby Petrino is a hell of an offensive coordinator, and Taylor Green looked pretty damn good. So those are the guys we could possibly flip. We already flipped Myron Charles. Steve Wiltfong did put in a crystal ball for Javion Hilson. If we get him, guys, I think we have the best defensive line recruiting in the country up until this point, unless Georgia gets someone out of nowhere. But if he jumps in onto this ship, I think we have the best defensive line commitments in the country for the 2025 class. So that will do it for the recruiting update. I really appreciate it. Again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out what we're trying to build here. And go to your favorite audio platform and find us at the Texas at the Voice of College Football. You can listen to me on there, your favorite audio platform, and use the Amazon link in the description. Does not cost any money. Does not change your buying experience. Puts a little bit of change into Mark's pocket. Thank you guys for that very much. And again, hit that like and subscribe button. We will get into UTSA preview in a second. Top 3 recruiting class incoming. That is very possible. That is very, very possible. So I was the most optimistic one that I saw, 3 or 4 months ago. I said, you know what? I don't know if top 3 is possible. I think top 5 is possible, but I don't see it. I think top 7 to 8 is going to happen. Top 7 and 8 is definitely going to happen. I think top 5 is the most likely outcome. And then I think top 3 isn't out. It is possible. You're going to have to flip probably 2 to 3 more guys and then get some of these offers that you just released. And then also land Michael Terry. If you land Michael Terry, flip 2 or 3 of these guys, and you also land Matt Faramo, and there's 1 or 2 of these guys that we just offered commit, I think we're a top 3 recruiting class, if not better, honestly. Depends where we flip them from. If we flip them from Georgia or Ohio State, in like a Devin Sanchez's case, then we could be the best recruiting class in the country. So that'd be very, it's very possible. Would I bet on it? No. Would I bet on a top 5 recruiting class? Absolutely. I'd bet a lot of money on that right now. So let's jump into the UTSA preview. We played them a couple years ago. They've gotten a lot worse. Teams like this have been decimated by the transfer portal, guys. They've been decimated by the transfer portal. So far this year, they are 1-1 on the year. They lost to Texas State, got blown out by Texas State last week. You saw J.G. Kinney, or what? I always forget his first name, but Kinney, was Jeff Traylor's kind of like protege, and he kind of taught Jeff Traylor some things on Saturday. So I could see either of these guys not being at these programs because I think they're both good coaches. We've seen what Jeff Traylor did at Texas. I liked him at Texas. I wish we would have retained him. I think he's done a pretty good job at UTSA in the American Athletic Conference. And Kinney at Texas State will probably not be there as well. Like if Dave Aranda gets fired, those will be your top two candidates, period. At quarterback, guys, they've replaced seven-year starter or 7-year player for them, Frank Harris. It is Josh McCown's son, Owen McCown, and then Eddie Lee Marburger, which just sounds like a serial killer. Sorry there, brother, but that's a mouthful. But Owen McCown, in my opinion, is the better quarterback here. I don't know why there was a battle for UTSA. He's just like his dad. He's pretty athletic, got a live arm. There might be pro potential there. I'm not going to say he's going to get drafted, but could I see him end up at a camp? Absolutely. So far this year, 38 of 61, 62.3% completion percentage, 7.3 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions for Owen McCown. He transferred from Colorado, actually, last year, played it. He led them to their bowl victory. So Frank Harris didn't play in that game. He did. And then their 2 leading rushers also return in Robert Henry and Kavorian Barnes. Guys, they're having serious issues rushing the football. Robert Henry, 15 carries, 56 yards, 3.7 yards per carry, 0 touchdowns, 3 receptions for 61 yards, so much more of a threat out of the backfield. Kavorian Barnes, I mean, it gets even worse. 9 carries for 26 yards, 2.9 yards per carry, and 0 touchdowns. 1 rushing touchdown all year, and it was Owen McCown at quarterback. They are having serious issues rushing the ball, and it's kind of surprising to me. They returned 3 out of 5 offensive linemen, and you can't run the ball. So that's a serious issue, and they're a pretty balanced attack. Last year, they were like average at both passing and rushing, so they've completely fallen apart rushing the football. Defensively, they were worse versus the pass, and they were better on the run. But this year, again, they lost a lot of people, including Trey Moore, who's now at Texas. So who knows about that? Receiving, Devin McEwen and Willie McCoy are their best wide receivers. Devin McEwen, 17 receptions, 108 yards, 6.4 yards per catch and 2 touchdowns. So he's not going to scare you deep. And then Willie McCoy will scare you deep. 7 catches for 118 yards and 16.9 yards per catch and 1 touchdown. Gone are the days of Zachary Franklin. That guy is now bowling out for Illinois, beating Kansas, by the way. I don't know why Ole Miss let him go or didn't play him last year either. That guy's really good. Like, he's a legit NFL wide receiver. I was thoroughly impressed watching him in the Kansas game. That sick one-handed catch down the sideline. They no longer have a weapon anywhere near that on the offensive side of the ball. They had a couple guys like that, too, when we played them last. So that's not going to be there. They also have Houston Thomas back at wide receiver. That's their 3rd best wide receiver. And they return Oscar Cardenas at the tight end position. He's a good player. So far, not much to write home about stats-wise this year, though, but he is returning. Like I said, 3 out of 5 offensive linemen. So it's kind of surprising me they haven't been able to run the ball. Texas should dominate them up front, guys. I would be very disappointed if they did what Colorado State did in the running game. They should not have over 100 yards, period. If we are playing to our standard, which we should be, they should not have over, honestly, 80 yards rushing the football. We should dominate them up front in the running game. If they throw it around a little bit, I could see that because they have a good scheme. I do like their quarterback. I think he's better than half the quarterbacks we'll see this year, honestly. So if they throw it a little bit, that's fine, but we cannot allow them to run. They can't run versus anyone else. They shouldn't be allowed to run versus us. And then defensively, guys, they actually returned 4 of the top 5 tacklers. Safety Ken Robinson, he plays all around, actually, safety, linebacker, corner. Linebacker Jamal Ligon, linebacker Martavius French, and then safety and linebacker hybrid Denai Taylor are all back. And Ken Robinson is leading the defense in tackles again with 14, and he also has 2 tackles for loss. But you can see they're not getting the pressure they were last year, guys, and that makes sense. Trey Moore had what? Over double-digit sacks last year, over double-digit tackles for loss. You just don't replace that. You don't replace that at UTSA. Jamori Robinson has been decent. 7 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. Do I think he's going to be the American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year in Trey Moore? No. And they also lost Rashad Wisdom at the safety position and bowl MVP at cornerback Cam Alexander. So you lost 3 of probably your 4 or 5 best defensive players. This defense isn't great overall. Again, they gave up 21 or 24.1 points a game last year. That was 53rd in the country. I think they're going to take a major step back this year. I think they're probably going to be in the 70s there in points against defensively. And then offensively, they averaged 31.9 points per game and 34th in the country. So I think you're going to take drastic step backs. I think this team was predicted to compete for the AAC. Just based off what I'm looking at, I don't see that. Texas is favored by 34.5 points, and the over-under is 53.5. Let's go into what I expect for Texas. So, play to your standard. After Alabama's game last year, Wyoming came in, and Wyoming's better than this team, but still, it was 10-10 entering the fourth quarter. We put up 21 points, won that game 31-10. That should not be the case here. Texas should lead this game at halftime by at least 4 scores. That means 24 more points. Texas has to be up by 24 more points, in my opinion, at halftime. I want to get Arch Manning 20 to 30% of the reps, period. That's what I want to see in this game. I want to see us dominate the lines of scrimmage, just like you did versus Michigan, but even more because it's UTSA. I want to see Arch Manning and backups get a lot more playing time. I want to see Colin Simmons out there a lot. I want to see Ryan Wingo out there a lot. I want to see Jared Gibson out there a lot. I want to see Jelani McDonald and those guys out there a lot. I want to see reps for the backups and guys that you can rotate in also going later into the season. We should win this game. Would I take us to cover? I don't. I've been terrible at that, by the way. I said we wouldn't cover versus Michigan. We did. I said we wouldn't cover versus Colorado State, and we did. I think it goes over. I think there will be more than 54 points scored. I'm going to take UTSA to cover because 34.5 is a lot. Again, I just want domination in the first half. If UTSA covers because the backups let them back in the game a little bit, that's fine. But I want pure domination from start to finish from the starters when they're in. Period, point blank. I'm going to take Texas to win this game 45-14. That would put you over. I don't believe that's covering because what? 45, 38. No, that would not take the covering. So I'm going to take UTSA to cover the 34.5. I'm going to take the over of 53.5. Texas wins this game 45-14. And I want to see domination early on. This should not be close at halftime. In my opinion, the halftime score should look something like 31-3 or 31-7. It should be domination. That's how it should be. This is not a great team. This is probably, if I'm ranking 1 through 134 in the country, this is probably like the 80th best team in the country. You should treat them like the 80th best team in the country. I think Colorado State is slightly better than this team, and we beat them 52-0. Do I expect some hangover? Yes, I see that with every program, even Georgia, even Alabama, but they still dominate, and that's what I want to see is domination. Play to your standard and dominate, Texas. Prove to me that you're different from the team of last year, which, again, played with Wyoming for 3 quarters. That does not need to happen here, period. So I'm taking Texas 45-14. I think this team has turned the corner of their blowing out teams now. We've seen that in both games so far, and continue to dominate, continue to execute in the red zone when you get there, and overall win this game, keep everyone healthy, get some rotational players in. I want to see good quality reps from everyone. So Texas wins versus UTSA 45-14. This has been the 20th edition of Texas Longhorns here live. I'm your host, Matthew Miller. Again, like and subscribe down below. I'm here 7 p.m. Eastern time every Monday, previewing and breaking down last week's game. I will not be here Saturday. I usually am after every game. I have a wedding, but I'm here after every Saturday, win or loss, period. I will stand here and take it if we lose a game. Hopefully it won't be as convincingly as the Michigan guys had to take it versus us. They were on there for 5 hours. I would love to be on here. I will tell you this. I know they got money. I will never be here for 5 hours. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. I want to watch other football, but I will be here for up to 3 hours. If you guys are paying for super chats wise and we get that enough people in here, I will be here. But they did what they had to do. I'm hoping Texas never has to get blown out like that this year. I'm, again, predicting us to beat UTSA 45-14. Please hit that like button, subscribe down below. This has been the 20th edition of Texas Longhorns here live. I am your host, Matthew Miller. I really appreciate it. You can follow me right there on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And guys, on to UTSA. Michigan's over with. We're done. UTSA week. Hook 'em.